I've never been good with this stuff. With baseball, it comes easy, it comes natural. But with this, it's definitely difficult for me. I'm just gonna pretty much tell my testimony and everything I've been through. It's kind of a long story, but I'm just gonna say the whole thing and go through it. So I picked a Bible verse that kind of goes through all of it. It's Proverbs 3:5-6. It's trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him. He will make straight of your paths. That just, when I go through my story, you'll understand what I mean by that. I also picked a song. It's a weird name for an artist. I'll not lie. It's Big Daddy Weave. It's a Christian guy. The song's called My Story. The whole song is about, if I told you my story, you'd see hope, you'd see love, you'd see victory. But it's not mine. Because if we were going to talk about my story, that story is about Jesus. My story is a result of this. So I'm going to play the song right quick and I'll finish. If it works. If I told you my story, you would hear hope that wouldn't let go. And if I told you my story, you would hear love that never gave up. And if I told you my story, you would hear life, but it wasn't mine. If I should speak, then let it be. All the grace that is greater than all my sin. And when justice was served, and when mercy wins, all the kindness of Jesus, it draws me near. Oh, to tell you my story is
praising my Savior all the day long.
Okay, so like I said, I guess you could say the title of this whole thing is Round to the Base of Source Christ. I've pretty much summed it up as first, second, third, and home. First base is part one of my life. Going into my family, had a great family, have a great family. Mom and dad always taking care of me, always sending me to church, always. Through this whole thing, you're gonna understand that baseball is and was my life. So through this, the Lord's definitely taken me on the path of baseball to give back to the kids and pretty much just show what He's done for me to them, to help them through struggles and things that I know they're going to go through, because I went through. So, going back to my family, like I said, my mom and dad were always there for me. Grandma, grandpa, traveling all over the world to play baseball. And for y'all that play travel ball, it's definitely not cheap. It's a lot of money. So, I definitely don't tell my mom thanks enough, and my dad for paying for all that. Because it's definitely expensive. Now knowing me have my own and knowing how much money comes into play of it and how much goes out, it's an expensive thing to do. But I just want to tell them thanks. Mom's here tonight, so thank you. So we're still on first. We haven't stolen nowhere yet, but we're going into like my church life. Went to church, went to Sunday school. Everything was great. Just being a kid, just being till I was 12, 13 years old, till I went to middle school. So we started playing when I was 12, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. We started playing with the Catawba Valley Storm. I had a teammate, I don't know if I know him, he's Madison Bumgarner, he was one of them. That rings a bell. So we were really good. We played all over the world. Was number one in the nation. We were definitely who people looked up and wanted to play. So, everywhere we went, everybody was watching. We went to Cooperstown, and Cooperstown is a tournament in New York that you play in. We ended up getting second place in that. And the Lord started putting me as an individual on a baseball high. I started seeing that I was okay at it, and just kept excelling in it. So we'll migrate over to second. It's part two of my life. I would think a good kid in high school. I never got into trouble. I actually played in high school for the organization that I bought, the Heat. So that was kind of unique. In high school, the Lord blessed me with many accomplishments. When I say this, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just giving you the story of everything that I've done. So, he allowed me to set a lot of records. Was all-state player, made North-South game, had 14 different scholarships in high school, in which I picked ECU to go to. I was hoping to get drafted out of high school. Ended up, getting the last day, could have got picked up, but chose to go to school. I was still going to church and doing everything right. Wasn't a bad kid at all. So that's that. And then we went to third base. So part three of my life was college, and that's when stuff started getting crazy. So the first year, it opened me up to a brand new world. It's definitely something crazy for the people that went to college. It's wild. There's people from all over. There's people doing crazy stuff. There's a lot of bad stuff going on. And as an athlete, as a D1 athlete, you're looked up at everywhere you go. So if you're walking to go to the cafeteria, you're watched. Even the kickers watch. So it's just everybody's watching you. So it's stressful, but it's also really good because you feel like you're cool. So it's definitely a cool situation. So the first year happens, and I get there, and the fall's when you train as an athlete for baseball, and then you play in the spring. So I was still trying, I was still a good kid, but it was definitely getting hard. I started getting into kind of like the party scene, because everybody did it. It was the cool thing to do. But the Lord was still, He was still good to me, even though I wasn't to Him. When I say He was still good to me, I was the only freshman to start my freshman year. And then I made the all-freshman team. So, he was definitely still good to me. Year 2 came, and definitely the party scene got worse. But he was still good to me, which now that I look back at it, I'm like, why? So, he was still good to me, blessed me through it, through all that I didn't even deserve. My sophomore year, our team was number 8 in the state, or 8 in the nation, so we were really, really good. And it definitely put me on a different level as far as people watching me and all that stuff. So the higher I go up, the more people watch, the more people judge, the more people do everything. And I definitely didn't realize what was going on at that time. I was just living and loving it. That's just honest truth. So, we were really good. We won the conference. We hosted regionals. We made the super regionals. Our team was really high. I wouldn't say at the top of my high of baseball, but it was close. Then after that, I went to the Cape Cod League. It's in Boston, Massachusetts, which was a great experience. It was just baseball. That's all it was. Baseball every day. Just top players in the nation go there. Then year 3 came around, and that was the almighty year 3. So year 3 came around, and everything was great. I was going to be a 3-year starter. I was preseason All-American, and I with 13 pro teams in the fall. You name it, it was happening to me. It was just, everything was going in place. All I saw was the money signs in my face. So it was definitely something that I was like, I've worked my whole life to do this. And through this whole thing, I never really gave him any credit. I would definitely pray to myself, and I would do all that, but I would never give back, I guess you could say. So through that whole situation, when the season started, my coach called me in and he said, the president and the dean called me into a meeting. And they said, you have been caught cheating on a paper. But the Lord allowed me to lie myself out of it enough to keep playing. But I really didn't understand why. I was walking out, I was like, how did that just happen? I have no idea how that just happened. How am I still playing baseball? But through that, I was like, everybody's done it. It's no big deal. Still just it's all about me. I went on, still playing, still doing everything I was doing, and was having the best year of my life. 25 games in, I was ranked 1, 2, or 3 in the nation at shortstop in different polls. Just my stats were stats that you dream about having. So all that stuff was going on, and game 26 came around, and coach called me to his office, and he was like, "You're suspended." And they said they found more evidence that you've been cheating, so you're done. The next day, I was kicked off the team, was made an example of, and I felt lost. All the work I had done my whole life was gone. Now that was very scary to me because I didn't have no fallback plan. Then I was in math class, which was my worst class ever in college. Still Steals my words, what I said. And I was on Facebook, and I actually messaged Chelsea, and which was random. I don't even know why. I was just going through pictures and I messaged her and started like talking to her a little bit online. I hadn't seen her a year, probably something like that, a year, and she definitely big leagued me. She definitely big leagued me. She wouldn't have nothing really to do with me. So I was really in a hole. I was like, oh my gosh. So then the draft came around, and I keep saying this, but the Lord blessed me again. And on draft day, the Chicago Cubs called my name, and there I was. I was going to play pro ball still. Then we go to home plate for my live pro ball. Pro ball's a different world. You got people that you can't even speak to because you don't know what they're saying. It's hard to explain until you're there. Nobody cares about who you are. Nobody cares about what you've done. All they care about is how much money you got or how much they pay you. So it's a weird atmosphere. So I was going through that. And first year I started talking. It's in Arizona, and I started talking to Chelsea online. Again online. Still haven't talked to her face to face. I can remember telling my roommate, he's from New York. I was like, Brian, I'm talking to this girl. Man, she's so hot. And I definitely can remember I was Skyping her. And he was sitting beside me. He was in this old raggedy hotel. And Mom and all, they've seen it. It was terrible. I got ready before I got Skyped. And he started making fun of me. So but anyway, but I started having feelings. That's when I started, honestly, everything about her started pointing the Lord to me. We really didn't talk about it that much, but she was always, nothing bad came out of her mouth, or nothing bad came, nothing. Couldn't find any dirt on it. I tried. So that was going on. And then I come home and we started dating, which was definitely life-changing. I started coming to Fairview. Rule was preaching then, and I loved it. Chelsea, she definitely stayed on me. I'm not going to tell you she didn't. Sometimes we got in fights about it. She just kept pushing me in a good way, and definitely wouldn't let me fall, for the Lord. She definitely kept pushing me to come to church, kept pushing, and I didn't have no problem coming to church, but just the way she would talk to me and stuff like that, it helped me understand more about what I was coming for, not just to come. The second year of pro ball, and I left. I leave a lot. So the second year of pro ball was good, and it was. I was getting moved up, I was getting moved down. I was my whole pro ball career was all over the place. But when I came home, I definitely started. We talked the whole time. She came out to see me. I definitely fell in love with her. When I came home, I asked her to marry me. Well, that was a fiasco. I had it all planned out. First off, I had to ask Danny. But I had to ask Danny. We all know that might have been worse than this. But I definitely had to ask Danny, and that was kind of scary. And then I can remember Patty. I got up, and Patty shook my hand. She didn't hug me. She shook my hand. Everybody was actually shocked. So that was.
I was nervous for you.
That was
in the bathroom listening to me.
And then I went back. Then I went back to pro ball after that. I came here the whole summer, and then I went back to pro ball for my third year. It was 2012, and then in Daytona, Florida, something changed. I was outside. I was getting ready to go into a sports bar with all my buddies, and there was this guy outside preaching. He was a preacher. He's a young preacher, I remember like yesterday, my guys were just going in, and I was like, I'll come back. And I walked right over there, And I got saved right there in the street of Daytona Beach. And then I called Chelsea at like 3 o'clock in the morning. She didn't answer. She goes to sleep at like 8. She didn't answer. And I think I left her 2 or 3 messages. I never felt that before. I was ecstatic. Then I came home and still was engaged. We had a long engagement. Everything was going great. Went back to pro ball for spring training, and that was the end of it. I got released into 2012, which was tough. Definitely could have went back, but definitely felt like I needed to move on with my life. I finished my degree online, and then I actually bought the Heat, which was where I started playing travel ball at. So everything's falling into place. Like I said, he keeps blessing me with different things that I just keep on with. So I bought the Heat, and ever since I bought it, I've been trying to make it like a Christian organization for the boys and for everybody, just to give what I've learned throughout my process. I just feel like that's what the Lord's leading me to do. Definitely couldn't do this up here with Trent. Couldn't do this. But I definitely think that I'm doing something good for our boys. I hope I am giving back. I feel like they can trust me. So on that, I'll end with a verse. It's Matthew 6:3. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. And the reason I say that is because ever since I've accepted Him, everything's just been falling into place. Last example, I've had some different ups and downs with my business, and some of y'all know about it. But I've finally got a place now that I feel like is home. I definitely met a man that believes in the same stuff I do, and has helped me through this whole situation. Crazy story, right quick. The building that I ended up getting is in Newton, and the fire district and all that stuff. If it would have been a street over after I bought it and everything, I couldn't use it for what I was going to use it for. So that was a blessing. Then the lights went and got put in there, and just everything's falling into place that needs to. And that's just Him giving back to me, and I don't deserve any of it, but I just want to thank Him for everything He's done for me and saving me.